I'm one of the teachers here at Tranquil Space. Our asana of the month for this month is Ardha, Baddha, Padma, Paschimottanasana. And if that doesn't make any sense to you, in short, it's a half-bound, lotus-seated forward fold. And we'll walk through that in just a minute. But before you even get set up throughout this month when you're working with this pose, you may want to have several blocks, even a strap, and definitely a blanket underneath the hips in case the backs of the legs are tight. In terms of contraindications for this pose, if you're working with any knee injury or rehabbing the knees or a hip injury, talk to your teacher for some modifications so that you can still enjoy parts of this pose without getting into the full expression and possibly risking injury. So let's move on. For this full pose, one leg will be extended. Notice I'm sitting up on the edge of the blanket, so my hips are already floating an inch or two off the floor. That's going to help me in my forward fold. The opposite leg starts bent with the foot on the floor. Notice my strap is right by where I'm going to have this bind for the half lotus shape. So technically this pose starts from a seated shape. I take the opposite foot and place it either on the meat of the thigh, the top of the quadricep, or if possible you can bring it up a little higher towards the hip joint. And what that's providing is this deep rotation on the knee. And as I suggested before, if this is an issue for you, you can work on a lower version of this or bring the sole of the foot right into the inner thigh. Looks a little bit more like Asana, but as we fold forward and take the bind in this, you can still get a little bit of benefit from the pose of the month. So bringing the foot back up towards the hip crease, and I'm going to work with the strap for my version of this because my knee rotation is somewhat limited here, but again, I can still play with the modified version with the prop. Just loop the foot that's hanging out up top here, and then take the strap behind the body. I'm already seated on my blanket, I've got my foot strapped. The last piece of this puzzle for me are blocks. I love blocks in my practice because then I can place them somewhere where I know I'm going to fold forward. So if for some reason I can't reach my foot or find a toe grip, I can rest my palms on the block and just feel supported as I reach and fold forward. So again, this is a very nice tall seat. I'm going to sit up nice and high, round the sits bones on the blanket. In terms of the bind, we start here first. Take this strap, and the reason why I moved it around the body is because it's the opposite hand from the extended leg. So take, in this case, my right hand, I reach around. I'm already in a bind in my half lotus shape. If you can bring the hand around and take hold of the foot or the toe, go for that, and you can omit the strap. If you're working with the strap or otherwise, sit up nice and tall, extend out over the leg, and begin to fold. Again, this may not be a deep fold, and it may take a few exhales to find your way into it. Notice my blocks were here to provide a little bit of support. I can place those on their medium height and rest the forearms just as easily. I can reach forward and find a toe grip, or just let the hands hang free if blocks aren't your thing. Technically, traditionally, the full pose, the forehead and the nose would be down past the knee. I'd be holding on to the toe, reaching out in a deep, deep forward fold, and the ribs would be on the thigh. So that's considered the full expression of the pose. But as we all know, we can find those layers that work for us and with our particular bodies. So keep these props handy at the beginning during this month while you're working with this pose. Now, setup poses for this that you might want to focus on during your practice are any hamstring openers like downward facing dog or triangle posture. Also want to think about pigeon pose as we're working with the deep rotation in the knees. And any shoulder openers that work for you, like twisting and maybe binding through the twisting series, because that's going to help bring the hand around to find that connection. So working all together towards the end of the practice, maybe this pose becomes a little bit more accessible to you. And if you have any questions at all, always talk to your teacher. Well, enjoy this pose of the month. Namaste.